So my sobriety date is January 13th this year, 2025. And right now my home group is the Battleship meeting over there on Wednesdays. So I've been in and out of these rooms a long time, probably since, I want to say 2014. The first time I ever came to these meetings into treatment, I was on a court card, and like, it was kind of weird because like I definitely didn't want it for like the first 4 or 5 months. And then once I kind of got a few months under my belt, the first time I got sober, I was like, yeah, I came this far already, might as well keep going. But like, I just didn't last. And gosh, I'm gonna kind of bounce all over the place right now. I grew up in a hometown, Paso Robles, which is like in San Luis Obispo County. And growing up, it was kind of weird, man. Just kind of felt a void in my home, had low self-esteem. You know, yeah, when I was a teenager, that's when I first started experimenting with drugs and alcohol. I got introduced to weed and liquor around 13 or 14. And then that slowly progressed into prescription and psychedelic drugs. And then by the time I was 19, I was like full-blown junkie, doing crystal meth and heroin. So from about 2010 to 2014, I was going in and out of jail a lot like crazy. And yeah, that was the first time I was, introduced to AA. And I don't know, man, I just wasn't ready, I guess. So I went back out for about a year. Let me back it up a little bit. I went to the Salvation Army a bunch of times. I like to say I did 6 tours. Fuck. I did the math one time. Apparently I've accredited 37 months into that program out of the 6 times I've been there. So it's kind of a big part of my story. There were certain things that I got out of that program, but there was just certain things I didn't. So, yeah. But the first time I like actually tried to attempt doing the steps was probably the second time I was in the Salvation Army. I got a sponsor who was over at the Paramount Speakers, which is at the Imperial Llano Club, and he ended up actually re-sponsoring me. I think he sponsored me 3 times. And like I usually just kind of fell off right around the 4th step. And so the Salvation Army has a 3-strike law, which means you can't go to the same center more than 3 times. So once I struck out the Anaheim one, I went to the Long Beach one, and it was crazy because like this is right around the time of COVID, right? So I remember I'm going to this Salvation Army in Long Beach, and like they're telling me about it, and they're like, oh yeah, the residence is being reconstructed. So I'm like, wait a minute. If there's no residence, where's everybody staying at? And I wasn't aware they were apparently staying in a homeless shelter. And it was kind of way rougher than Anaheim. So yeah, I did that one twice. Didn't really hang on long after I left both times. So when I left the second time in Long Beach, I remember I was just, fuck, man, my hopes were crushed. Like, I didn't know what to do because, like, I felt like I was kind of giving it my all. And I remember that time, I was kicking on my mom's couch, and this is the first time I called Fred Brown. The first time I came here back in 2022. So like, I got put on the waiting list. They gave me a call about 3 weeks later. And like, I remember Sherry was doing my intake, and I was asking her weird questions like, are you gonna make me tuck my shirt in? Are you gonna make me go to church and this and that? And she's like, why the hell would I do all that? And I was just like, just told her what I was used to. And she's like, honey, we're not here to do all that. We're here to help you heal. And that was just very reassuring for me. You know, so this is in 2022. I completed residential. I did RBH. I forgot what happened with my sponsor at that time. I think I just stopped calling them altogether, to be honest. So when I left residential in 2022, one of the only few things I did right is I didn't go back to crystal and heroin. But I was basically drinking, smoking weed, just kind of like, you know, chipping and dipping for about a year or so. And then my best friend back in 2024 ended up dying from a patch of coke cup with fentanyl. And that just kind of put the icing on the cake for me to just go out on an all-out bender. And so, yeah, man, like, I just, you know, I was drinking a lot, smoking a lot of weed. And, like, for those that don't know, I'm a rideshare driver. So, like, it's kind of all bad to be drinking and driving when I'm supposed to be the sober driver, you know? But, you know, my ego tells me my ratings are through the roof, so what am I doing wrong, right? But apparently the cops found out I was doing something wrong on New Year's, so yeah, I caught that DUI, and I was kind of already contemplating coming back. The thing is like, I know me, in my disease, my luck does not last long, if at all. I knew something bad was coming. I was like, there's no way I get away with this type of crazy shit for very long. And like, I didn't. Like, so I caught that DUI. And so, like, ironically, I called, you know, I called the outpatient. I said, I want to get back on the waiting list. And I came back to treatment this time. And like, it was funny because like I was hoping to go back to the 14th Street house. And they said, we're going to put you over at 19th Street. And that's when I got to know the guys like Jim and Matt and Daniel and all of them. And it was a weird little culture shock, I guess. But I don't know, man. Like, every time I've came back to treatment, you know, I even got this question today from my therapist. She said, well, what are you going to do different this time? And honestly, I was just stumped. Like, I usually got some smooth, slick answer for that, but like, I just honestly didn't this time. And it's weird because I've been telling people that like, it's been extremely hard for me to get back on fire for recovery. And some people explain to me that like, that could be a potentially good thing actually, because it's like, that shows that like, I'm out to fight. So things are looking up now. Really the only thing I thought I could do different this time is like to actually get all the way through the steps. Cause like I've tried going through those steps a few times, and like I said, I just keep falling off at a certain time. So, and that's really the only thing I could do different. But one thing I've been really struggling with is like, you know, the concept of my higher power, because every time I thought I had a good concept of a higher power, apparently it was like I didn't. So, but right now, I mean, I've gone through my first step right now, so I'm on my second. But my sponsor, he knows that third one, you know, for me this time, that one's gonna take some time. Like, I really got to chew down to the bone on that one. And one thing I'm also doing different, I think, is I'm kind of trying to get to the root of my trauma a little better. You know, I talked to one of the staff members. I told him, I said, you know, man, I'm gonna be honest, like, I'm just not feeling the program this time. And one thing he said to me is like, you know, you don't heal what you don't feel. And he saw something right through me, because like, I hold back something every time. There's something I hold back, whether it's with like, you know, my sponsor or the staff or just anything like that. So like, I've been getting really vulnerable with, you know, my therapist, the case manager, and my counselor, and my sponsor. And, you know, maybe it's meant to be a little rougher this time. You know, that's all I can really think about it. And if you're new in this program, even if you're not new in this program, what I would suggest is, like, once you get on fire for your recovery, keep that fire lit, man, because if it goes out, it's hard to relight that shit. And yeah, man, if you feel like you don't have a family, you definitely got a family here, man. One thing that kept me coming back to this place is I realized, like, people just really want to see the best in you. Back where I'm from, man, like, you know, I couldn't get sober in my stomping grounds. I can go back there now, but the truth is the only reason I can go back there now is because life moved on for me. Everyone who I ran the streets with there either died, caught a life sentence, ran out of town, or they just got their shit together. So, like, I don't get so much tempted from, like, going back to my stomping grounds, but, like, back when I was running amok up in Slow County, like, you know, it just would have been too difficult to do that. So, but anyways, I think I've rambled off long enough, so that's all I got.
Thank you, Chris, for sharing your story. Seen you around for all this time, and you know you're resilient. Your strength is inspiring. I'm proud of you, man, for getting your way back here.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let us take a 10-minute break before our main speaker.
7:05.
I was going to stay right up there.
Yeah, bro. I don't know. I'm in my middle on they say glass. Stop these glass over here. Stop these glass. cold, man.
Should I start? Testing? Better? Okay. All right, welcome back, everybody. Let's kick off the second half of our meeting with the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. I would like to introduce our main speaker, Clyde M.
Let me get your shoes.
At the homie, get your car.
And your shoes.
Hello. Hey, y'all, I'm Clyde and I'm an addict. I'm a real addict, too. I'm a relapser. I like to start my share by thanking everybody for making this meeting, you know what I mean? Thank Nancy, thank the boss lady Roxy, you know, for making it possible for us to be able to be here like this. All the staff that participate on the daily dealing with me, and the clients, you know what I mean? You guys keep me sane, keep me in line, and it's inspiring to see you guys come through because I know I'm not alone, right? My story it goes back to Compton in the 80s. My mom was one of the first generation of crack addicts when it was like booming, and she didn't even know what she was getting into. I remember being in the back of Cadillacs. Let's just say my mom was a good-looking woman, right? My dad never played a part. He was part of a motorcycle gang. He came through on a bike, and I always wanted to be on the bike, but he would just pat me on my head and say, I'll be back. Let me see. I was influenced by what I saw as a kid. I would see lowriders, Eazy-E. I remember the first time I heard his song, I lived in his neighborhood, Boys in the Hood. And that was like a cold introduction to an adolescent, a lifestyle, you know what I mean? And so I paid attention to things. I used to play contact every time I seen a car. I learned the makes and models of cars. I got fascinated with material things. Jordans, when Jordan first came out. And I told myself when I was young I would buy any shoe I wanted when I got older. And I found later in life that became something that I put in myself as a kid, that it really is a compulsive problem. You know what I mean? Back to where I come from, I witnessed a lot of things that most kids that we wouldn't want our kids to witness. Cocaine parties that started on Friday, didn't end until Monday. I was fortunate to have a grandmother that lived right around the corner, so anytime I went to my granny house, I knew like something was going on in my house. I had a big brother, but we had different dads, so he was able to go to his dad's house and I was stuck with granny. As time went on, my mom's addiction progressed, and she ended up dying as a result of her addiction at one of them parties. Her big brother at the time was a Compton detective, and I remember him coming to my grandmother and telling her everything that happened. And my grandmother at that time, she did everything in her might to like take my mind away from my mom not being there. She explained to me what happened. And the love that I had and the time that I shared, I don't think I was able to properly grieve as a kid. But as I grew in life, I started acting out in behaviors when kids would have mama jokes and say this and that. And my brother told me some slick stuff one time. He said, when they say, "Where your mama?" I tell them, "You don't have one." I tell them, "I don't have one, we share yours." You know what I mean? So I would find slick ways to get back at people, even though my feelings were really, really hurt. When I would hear people talk about doing stuff with their mom and dad, I felt some type of way. I felt abandoned, inadequate, right? So that makes a young kid act out in ways. And I became a troublemaker. I did it a lot for attention. As I grew, my grandmother told me that she was my legal guardian and that she couldn't teach me how to be a man, but she can tell me everything to do inside of a house for myself, by myself, as far as ironing, cooking, cleaning, and taking care of things in the house and conducting myself as a young man should. So she raised me the best she could, you know. And a lot of things she used to tell me used to go in one ear and out the other, but some of it would stick, you know what I mean? She would tell me things like keep your nose clean. You're gonna go through things as a man that you gotta learn on your own. And one that really stuck, she said, you're gonna learn the hard way. And what she meant by that is because I didn't have a real male role model. I didn't have no real positive energy to copycat, right? I didn't have no one to tell me how a young man's supposed to conduct himself. Or I didn't have a mom to tell me how to love a woman and which girls is the right girls. So as I grew as a young kid into a teenager, I made more mistakes by the people that I chose to be around with because I like to mingle, I like to make friends and be a part of. No matter where I was, I can adapt like a chameleon. I was quick to get involved. And that got me in a lot of trouble. But I would learn, you know, the hard way, like my grandmother told me. And you know, growing up, I didn't think about how hard it could be if I didn't do the right thing. I would be all gas, no brake. I would make that decision and go with it and deal with the consequences later. Because if you're raised by your grandmother, no matter what you do, you still her grandbaby. You good. I remember going to school. I got caught stealing in the mall, being a follower. And this was the first lesson I got from being a follower and a leader from my big brother. I was stealing out the mall, and I got caught stealing. And my grandmother, they walked me through the Crenshaw Mall in handcuffs. And it was like the walk of shame. Parents were telling their kids, you better not do what he did, you know what I mean? And I felt some type of shame about it. And my big brother came and got me. And he was slapping me in the head the whole way out the mall. But my grandmother turned around and asked me, what was I stealing? And I told her. 3 days later, she took me to the mall and she told me to point out what I was stealing. And I showed her. It was a nice shirt and some pants. And she said, get your size. And I said, you buying it for me? She said, baby, you never have to, she said, you never have to steal when we got the money to buy. So that day I never stole again, you know what I mean? And it was a weird way of her like chastising me, but she made me understand that I didn't have to do that, you know what I mean? So I didn't steal no more. I actually felt shame going in that mall after that. But I still bumped my head continuously going through growing pains as an adolescent. I lived in a poverty-stricken neighborhood. My grandmother didn't know. We moved from, when I was in junior high, they told my grandmother that I was a bully and I was a part of a gang and that we were running the school. And she didn't believe it. She said, you full of shit. Excuse me. We're going to go to another school. And I thought I was getting over, like, cool, grandmama don't know. She cool. And it caught up with me because every school I went to, when that affiliation came to take part, it was fights I got into. I never made it to third period. I was getting kicked out or chased out. So my grandmother moved, and she moved from one part of the neighborhood from the Crenshaw district to the Jungles. And it was the same hood, but just spread apart. And now I'm really involved because I'm living in it. And my first semester of high school, I got kicked out for wearing a red sweatsuit. So I was like always doing something just to do it, knowing that there's consequences. And I came back to Compton. My grandmother moved back, and that was my first introduction, hanging out with some people I knew into alcohol. I was drinking 40 ounces. I got drunk, got brought home by Bellflower sheriffs. And my granny hit me over the head with her cane. And I thought I was really in trouble because I knew I messed up. And she just told me, lay down. And my uncle, the ex-cop, came in. He said, what was you drinking? And I said, Old English. He said, oh, yeah, that'll do it till you get some rest. But nothing happened. There was no consequence. So I was like, okay, I'm just not going to drink 440s no more. I know what to do, right? So little did I know I had instilled something in me that could be a potential problem if I continue. As life goes on, my grandmother got diagnosed with cancer. And in my mind, all these years I've been living with my grandmother, she's been guiding me the best she could. She made sure I got my license at 16. I was taking her to the store. And I didn't know nothing about a caregiver or how to be responsible. I just knew whatever my grandmother told me, right? And when I found out she had cancer and had 6 months to a year to live, my rebellious mindset was like, I'm gonna do whatever I wanna do because nobody's gonna listen to me, help me, or be there for me. I'm gonna end up in the foster system or placement or something. I started robbing stores. And I felt a sense of power when I took my grandmother's gun because I felt like I can get anything I wanted, I can do anything I wanted. I don't have nowhere to go, ain't nobody gonna look out after me anyway. And that was a bad mindset that I instilled in myself because I got away with the robberies, but I got caught because of the cameras. And I got sentenced to camp. When they first started the 3-strike law, I was supposed to do 6 months, but it turned out I did 18 months and caught a strike. And as a juvenile, that still follows you as an adult, if you don't know. So I called my grandmother and I told her, Grandmama, they said 6 months. When I get up here, I'm doing 18 months. She said, baby, if you do the crime, you gotta do the time. And that was her last words to me, you know what I mean? She said, I don't know a possession to take that gun and do what you did. But it stuck with me. Like I'm not good at doing stuff that I shouldn't do because I'm not gonna get away. And I rebelled. Juvenile hall, camps, institutions that keep us locked up don't do nothing but make us worse. Because I excelled in there. I became the top dog or the top, whatever you want to call it, from being a new guy. And then it just made me feel the same way when I got out. I still had no responsibility. I knew about addiction or things that led me to acting the way I act. And as a young man, now I'm 18 when I got out of camp, I was still rebellious mind state because I went in at 16 and I'm thinking that I got to play catch up. I was able to get my diploma. I was able to find a job, but I was couch surfing with my so-called cousins. A lot of times in life, y'all, just because they blood don't mean they family. My cousins felt like they were obligated because my grandmother told them to take care of me on her dying bed. And the days that they kicked me out, they would say that. I'm only took care of you because my grandmother told me to. So it made me feel, again, abandoned as a young man, nowhere to go. Let me go to GR and get a hotel voucher. I was a GR pimp. I knew how to get the voucher, the clothing voucher, the bus pass, the food stamps. I would sell the stamps, sell the bus tokens, and manipulate my way into a motel to where I was paying half food stamps, half cash, up to 6 months. And all along, my choice of relief was a 40 ounce, a couple loose cigarettes, maybe some weed. And I didn't know what I was doing to myself at the time. I met a good woman, my first kid's mother, and her family were functional alcoholics. Every time I went out with her, I would come home loaded because it was an open bar. Now I'm learning that about a lust, that I have a problem. I can't consume the way that others can. And that built a toxic relationship between me and her. The best thing I got from her was a blessing, 2 kids. I got married young, and I was searching to figure out how to be a man without any guidance on being a man, no role models. Again, I'm left with my own devices. And I didn't know about any programs or anything like that, or any recovery, any meetings, or even that I had a problem. I just knew I would act out when I got drunk. So as I grew, as I matured through life, every time I stumbled on bad times, I have this habit of meeting a woman, and I'll become what my dad was. I found later in life, a womanizer, a man that uses women to manipulate his way through life, basically like a homeless sexual. I was getting with a woman just to be with her and act like I liked her just for a place to stay. You know what I mean? And sometimes addiction came in there because they either drank, we did marijuana, or it was drugs involved. And mind you, I'm not good at drinking, so I would indulge into drugs now. Now I'm trying ecstasy. When that came out, I never had a great experience on that. Never crystal meth, but I came close to it because I didn't like the way I seen people using it with a pipe. It reminded me of my mom in the crack days. So I said, let me sniff it. And they looked at me like, you crazy. You gonna waste our drugs. So I was like, all right, cool. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna do that, right? And I never did that. And I'm kind of grateful. But then again, my curiosity stayed alert because I ended up dabbling with cocaine. The same thing my mom died from. Now it's no worse snorting it or smoking it. It's still gonna get you a freaking high, and you're gonna be out of yourself and out of your mind. As I grew, I ended up doing that in another bad relationship, and I caught a case. Now I graduate to prison, and I ended up in Pelican's Bay, out of all places, because mind you, Clyde has these strikes in the back of his background, and that means I have a violent past, and this crime is violent too. So now I'm in this prison, and I'm looking around like, it ain't that bad, right? But the casualties that can happen are really real, right? So I gained this discipline within myself. We're working out, getting with older people, and they could see through my BS and told me that I'm better than this, that I shouldn't even be there. I made a mistake under the influence. I committed a crime under the influence. And as I did my time, I started realizing I'm not that bad without alcohol and drugs. People like me on the regular, right? A big OG helped me out and tossed me the keys to a certain car, a crew, and I was scared as hell. And he said, you a great sympathizer. You know how to talk to people. You level-headed. You're not afraid, but you're not a mess starter. So that showed me that if I can have responsibility in juvenile hall and in camp and in the county jail and in prison, I do have leadership abilities within me that I don't even know I possess, right? So now, I'm like, damn, I am kind of too good to be up in here. You know what I mean? Even the police was like, I got your transcripts, man. You got a B in science, a B in English. What are you doing in here? You know what I mean? It opened my eyes by me going through these situations and these trials for me to understand about myself. Just like the step work. When we get into the step work, you're going to learn a whole lot more. Like they say, more going to be revealed. I'm learning myself. Back to the prison, I met guys that were writing programs. And I was like, you writing, what is that about? I was meeting guys that had prison time for DUIs. I had a dream of committing vehicular manslaughter, that I killed a family running from the police. Very vivid, I remember it. And it made me like think I gotta do something different. I can't I'm in here because I made a decision of being under the influence. He in here for really killing somebody. He in here for, you know what I mean? My mind is saying, you can't do this. My motivation was my kids and working out. And I landed a job that gave me 45 cents an hour, and I got $76 a month working in the hospital. That's where I learned my janitorial and custodial skills. I did that for 4 years straight. I was able to do for myself, by myself. And I instilled something in me that I didn't even know was like the recipe of a man. I was able to hold my own, by my own, and do for myself. So within that, I said, I'm not gonna become a liability and stay with nobody. I don't know where I'm going, but I know I'm not going to just shack up with somebody. So when I paroled, I went straight to GR. And I got a hotel voucher because this is like, I know how to do this, right? And I went to check in with my PO, and he said, if you don't have an address, I'm gonna have to find you one. And I said, well, I don't think I can find one. You know, I'm just buying time. And I met a girl that I already knew. Y'all know what happened. And I went back to see my PO, you know, and he was like, I'm gonna send you to a program. And I said, I can do that. You know, I just don't want to be on the streets, but I want to do good with parole. I was high control or high risk because I got these violent crimes. That means the chances of me going back are very, very great. Rewind time to when I was on S time sweeping the hallway, the police get this paperwork every day that tell them everything going on in the prison, who's leaving and who's coming. He said, Merritt, I see you going on S time. I said, yeah, I'm getting ready to get out of here. He was like, let me ask you something, where you going? And I said, probably to Compton. He said, let me be frank with you. He said, you got strikes, you black, and you going back to Compton. He said, you might as well just stay here. and it made me like want to hit him with that broom, right? And I was like, no, I'm gonna show you different. You know what I mean? But that right there, bro, was like something that I thought to do for myself that I didn't think I could do because I never did that before. But it was motivation and power in me to succeed, bro. I ended up going to my PO when I got out. He said, where you want to go? I said, I don't want to go to LA. I don't want to go to Compton. I don't want to go to Long Beach. He said, how about San Pedro? I was like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. Let's go to San Pedro. I've never been there. And we pull up to 14th Street, and I walk through that breezeway like y'all do, and I was like, it's some J-Cats. Who's these dudes? Right? I was like, well, I just finished doing almost 5 years. I could do it. But they shot me straight to 19th Street. Y'all know Daryl. Daryl was my house manager, man. He was something else back then, bro. Like, Daryl, and I was there when Jim was an intern. You know what I mean? Like, it was way different. It was different. It was still the same curriculum. And speaking on the curriculum, the letters and stuff, I remember being in my room practicing the third step prayer, bro. Like, breaking it down into a rap because I wanted to pass. Like, and it just made me feel like this is something I got to do, right? And I was comfortable because I knew I would see POs come. A lot of POs used to come check on their clients, and as long as you in the program, they're gonna leave you alone. So I did well at 19th Street. I ended up becoming a chair, and I ended up making a Facebook. I got a phone, and I got in contact with my kids, and that made me feel real good because I was only able to write them when I was in prison. You know what I mean? And I did that diligently, man. Like, birthdays, holidays, just every 2 weeks, I would get cards made, so I kept that bond. And through Facebook, I was able to find family members or whatnot, get back into the circuit of things. Some good, some bad. But at that time, I was just happy to be home, man, and have a fresh start. And I thank God, and I'm grateful for Fred Brown opening the doors for me to even have that vibe, right? I felt better than I ever felt at that time because I ended up going to school as for a cook. I got a car. I was making my meetings. I was working at the warehouse up the hill. My day was full. I had no idle time, none. My only downfall is I didn't stay in sober living long enough. Baby girl was on the line, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go. And when I went, that was kind of the worst decisions I made being in recovery. I had Section 8 voucher. I gave it up to still lay with her. That was a dumb decision, right? Like, but the things we do for the booty, the cutie with the booty, and that's where I was at, right? And I was in denial because she was in her addiction, and I stayed there for 4 years and I never picked up. I would be doing push-ups off the bed. I would still make meetings, but I would confess my arrangement what I was living in to Daryl and other staff, and they were saying, what you doing is called sharing clean but living dirty. You living in a toxic situation that's about to attack you and you don't even know it. So I was like, hey, it was contradicting to me, like, and I would tell her about going to meetings, but she wasn't trying to hear it. And who am I to tell her if I'm not even working the program? I'm just telling her where it's good at. She's like, no, you go ahead. I'll be here when you get back. So after a while, I called Daryl, and he came and picked me up in the van. He was like, come on, we're going to make you a house manager. And that was like the best vibe I had in my life as a man, being in Fred Brown. I got a glow that didn't come from prison. I got a reality of how I see things that didn't come from prison. I got myself, my sanity from Fred Brown. You know what I mean? And I stand on that, man. Like, it carries so much weight, bro. Like, I'm excited to share about it. I'm excited to talk about it because I wake up and I got a sponsor now. I went through some things in between then and now. That was 2012. I glided as a dry drunk for 11 years. 11 years. And the pandemic happened. I made more kids in between. I got married a couple times. Like, I'm the type that searches for what I was abandoned from. A counselor that was here, dang, I forgot her name. Susan. She said, you chasing what you were abandoned from. You could be a good father, but the people you choosing to do it with is not the right partners, right? Because I can cook, clean, go to work, and take care of the kids. And most men don't even care to do all of that. You know what I mean? But I do, because that's something that I missed, that I never had. And I feel for me being able to make a kid that don't have that. So why not give it to them? And that's why I got so many. I got 6 kids. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm pretty sure I'm done now. But you know what I mean? Like, it can get hard, right? But I'm bound to have a doctor or a lawyer or a Laker. It's gonna be something, right? So it brings me to say, I say that to say, like, I ended up in the pandemic knowing not to drink, but I seen all these weed shops open. And I was like, I'm not addicted to weed. It's legal. That's why they call it gateway, because it opens up the gate to a higher high. So now I'm doing weed. I'm like, she smells when I drink. Let me get some coke. Now she's looking like, what type of weed is that? You don't want to go to sleep? Why your heart beating so hard, baby? So I ended up, to fast forward, man, I had to be honest with myself, right? I came back, bro. I called Daryl, I called Chris, and I ended up coming to Sunshine office, and I broke down and cried. I went to Dockweiler Beach the day before and talked to God at the water. And I came back, the bed just opened up. That was God, man. That was all God, bro. And I'm grateful, because this time around, I was praying on my knees at my bed when it was time to go to sleep. I got into my word. I found my higher power. I surrendered completely, because if I went through this one time and I didn't get it, what am I missing? And then what I was missing was my connection to my higher power, a sponsor that can help me work steps, and taking suggestion and like living this stuff, bro. You gotta live it. You can't just attend here and there. You gotta walk this walk. Because if I'm not gonna walk the walk, then I shouldn't be talking the talk. And I'm very big on integrity. You ain't finna catch me around the corner doing something I'm not supposed to. And if I am, I'm gonna tell you about it, and that I was wrong and I'm okay, because that's all it is admitting it. Having accepted, say, hey man, I was wrong. I shouldn't have been over there. Because we're not perfect. I come with flaws. I'm a work in progress. And as long as I keep working these steps for my sponsor, I'm gonna get better and better and better. I'm stuck on the 4th step. Do y'all steps and get with y'all sponsor. Be honest about it, bro. I'm breaking it down to him on the phone more than I'm putting it on the paper. He's like, no, you gotta put it on the paper, man. I don't want to hear it. I want you to read it to me. You know what I mean? And be diligently and do a deep, thorough inventory. I mean everything. When she pulled the pants down, and when you used the drugs, and when you did the funny stuff, all that, bro. They want to hear all that. So now I'm on a whole other level with my honesty. You know what I mean? Being open about it, because at the end of the day, it ain't gonna do nothing but make me better. And that's what I'm good at, because if I can't be a good man for myself, how I'm gonna be a man for Jace, Julian, Jayla, Celeste, and Jaden and Justice? That's my shoulders. I gotta be right for myself. If I can't be right for them, I'm doing it for nothing. So I gotta walk with dignity, respect, and it ain't about pride and ego. That's what got me last time. It's about just being, humble, taking suggestion. You know what I mean? Being able to admit when I'm wrong, man, because a lot of times I'm wrong. But I'm grateful for this program, because it gave me a chance to really receive that and do it. Now that I'm receiving it, I'm able to give it. You know what I mean? And I worked the panel for the first time. It's more that will be revealed. I'm hearing sayings that's catchy. Like, it's a lingo to this, man. If you was banging out there hard for the streets, bang for your recovery. Because this right here is to die for, homie. That other stuff, we gonna die alone. And here you're gonna die with people that's coming to hold on to you, that's gonna be there for you, bro. I'd rather die for something than be out there living for nothing. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna ride for mine, and I suggest you guys to ride for y'all. So my name is Clyde, and I'm at it.
Thank you, Clyde. Damn, you work by somebody every day and you don't really know them. That was beautiful. Thank you, brother. All right, well, we celebrate sobriety at this meeting. It's time to introduce our chip person, Red. Where'd Red go? There you are.
What's up, guys? My name's Red. I'm your alcoholic addict. I'm also your chip chick at this meeting. Here at Fred Brown Recovery Services, we like to celebrate various links of sobriety, starting with the most important person in the room, the newcomer. With anyone with 29 days or less, like to come up and get a chip and a hug.
Felipe, Eddie.
Felipe!
Jeremy, up on.
Jeremy!
Michael.
Oscar. Oscar and Mike. No? Okay. Anyone with 30 days of sobriety?
30 days.
Oh, wait, no. Those are all yours.
Will, alcoholic.
Daddy.
Dante. Gilbert, addict. Joshua, addict.
Anyone with 60 days? Anyone with 90 days? Lester.
Randy, addict.
Anyone with 6 months?
6 months, guys.
Louise, at it.
Anyone with 9 months?
That's right.
So. Anyone with 18 months? That's 3 with half. Anyone who doesn't know? All right. We also celebrate birthdays at this meeting, but it's at the end of every month. Please get with the meeting secretary at the end of the meeting if you would like your birthday celebrated here. With anyone with a year or more, please raise your hand. Just goes to show that this program does work. Thank you for letting me be of service.
All right, I've asked Sean, give us a treasury report.
Show me your money. I smell pizza.
What up, y'all? My name is Sean, and I'm an addict and an alcoholic. All right, we had an old balance of $83.26. Tonight we took in $23.95, which leaves us with a new balance of $107.21. Thank you for letting me be of service, and your court cards will be up here.
Excellent work, Sean. Thanks to everyone who makes this meeting happen, including our readers, people of service, and our guest speakers. And our meeting is now open for those of you who would like to share. Please keep your shares to 2 minutes or less to ensure there's time for everybody. Let's go.
Luis, go. Leader qualified. Luis. Leader qualified.
Joe.
All right, my name is John. I'm an addict. I was very moved by both of those shares, and as an alumni myself, it's just reminded me of so many things. I went through 19th Street myself. I ended up being a counselor at 19th Street. I got to see all different sides of that place. Now I'm working at 505, and we're a counselor there, and working with the Stop Guys, and every day is an adventure. And I look back at my time, out there, and it's just terrifying. It's terrifying to think that I could go back to that. Every day I wake up and really I pray to God, please don't take me back there, Because some days I wake up, and I think I'm living somebody else's life. I'm like, what's going on here? This isn't me, This isn't who I decided I was going to be about 10 years ago and just ran with it. And every day I can walk down the street with my head held high again, and that took a while to do. I've got 3.5 years now, and that took, that takes time. And in some ways it gets easier, and in some ways it just every day is the same struggle because you have to commit every day. As the big book says, that we have a daily reprieve based on our what is it, Tom? Daily reprieve based on the contingency of our spiritual condition. That's it, and it's true. Today, every day I wake up and I go to 505. I go to work, and there's different challenges that come at me, and I feel blessed that I get to be the person on the other side of that desk today and be able to help people get through this because they help me get through it. And we all help each other every day, all day. That's what we do, Don't be afraid to be your brother's brother in here. Don't hold back. If you're standing in the corner not connecting with the person that's in the same house as you, you're denying yourself the opportunity to have the life you deserve. That's what I got to say. I'm John, man.
My name's Randy and I'm an addict.
Randy.
Stand up. Short. I have to be honest, someone here asked me during the 10-minute break if I'm alright. I told them yes, but they knew that was bullshit. There's something going on that I don't really want to talk about or even express. Because I'm not ashamed of it, I'm just... When my time comes for a probation to end, and that's going to be in June, hopefully, I get to call my probation officer tomorrow, and he'll officialize it, or I'll be sent to court to officialize it, whatever. I'm having trouble with two people. My mom's ex-husband and my mom's ex-boyfriend. One for raping my sister and one for hurting my mom physically. I'm not the biggest and baddest, I'm not. But you hurt people that I love and I'm really gonna go out. I'm afraid to get off probation because I'm ready to go out and actually do what I have to do. Those people don't deserve to be standing today. Those people don't deserve to be living, and that's something that I'm very terrified about. I'm terrified because I feel like I know what I want to do, and let's go out. I'm terrified because I'm making my mind up on doing so. And I know what I'm saying. And I'll be honest about it. I want to hurt those two people. I do. For hurting the people that I love, my mom, my sister, Shayla. And it's frightening to not know if whether my little sister or my little brother are even safe. Because their fucking parent is the parent that actually raped my sister. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. I'm pretty sure lately people at my house have noticed that I've been keeping to myself. I've been in my room isolating myself. And to be honest, that's the reason why. I want to do good. But I also want to make those people pay. And Roxy, if you could help me some way or another, I need it. I just don't know what to do. Because I'm so upset. I'm upset for not being able to be there or having been there. for not having spoken up when I had to. My mind's just replaying why I got on probation this time. For those that don't know, I ran out the house with 2 machetes and a gun. And I was very close to chopping off the head of my mom's boyfriend. That memory replays in my head, telling me I should have done it. Am I wrong for that? I just want to feel okay. I don't want to feel anger, but it's hard. I don't want to feel hatred, and I don't want to do violence, but at the same time, it's what I'm accustomed to. The one single voice that I keep hearing in my head is risky, telling me, si lo vas a hacer, ve a hacerlo. In English is, if you're going to do it, go do it. I don't know if that's the little devil on my shoulders talking to me, if it's risky talking to me, or what. But lately I've been having dreams, and I don't really dream. I'm a heavy sleeper. But I have dreams on how I'll do it. I'm speaking up because I need help. My therapy is what? On the 23rd of this month? I can't wait that long. I just don't know what to do. And there's 2 people in here. One's a teddy bear, the other one's a freaking saint. That are always there trying to drill things into my head, but lately I just haven't been listening for shit. Because I want to go do what I want to do. I don't know why I'm saying this, I don't. I just know I need help. Whatever that may be. And I'm afraid to tell my probation officer because I know what that's going to end up with. I just need help. Like I said, I'm not the biggest and baddest, but I really want to break hell. Yeah, that's all I got.
My name's Alfie. I'm an addict. You know what, man? If we keep doing what we're doing, man, we're going to keep getting what we're getting, man. That's a fact. And kind of like in the same boat as that young man right there. I want to go save my kid, but I can't. And I'm not going to. I'm tired of saving everybody else and not looking out for me, not taking care of me. And I like it. I love Britt Brown, man. Britt Brown saved my life, man. I went away last time and did really good from here. And where I was at, I didn't have all the meetings, but I had Celebrate Recovery, which is faith-based, and it kept me dialed in. And but you gotta watch. You gotta watch what you think, man, because your thoughts become words, words become actions, actions become. There you go. And but I mean, I think we got a good house, man. There's always turds floating around. I've been one of them. But in the last few days, I've seen guys come together there that you think would never come together to save another brother, to save someone's ass that's fixing to go out and blow it. You know what I mean? But that person's still here, and that's cool. I mean, I dig the shit out of that. Man, and I loved your share, brother. I didn't know it about you, man. I said, I love you to death, Clyde. You're good folks. I knew you last time I was around here. And I know I'm grumpy, and I can sometimes, but I have a good heart. I have nothing but love for folks, and if I can help you, I'll help you. You know what I mean? I won't give you a hand. I won't give you a hand out. I'll give you a hand up. And I'm fixing to get out of here pretty quick, and I've decided not to rent an apartment. I'm going to go to sober living and get still. I've got to get still and keep digging deep into what's going on with me. 'Cause I got a lot of shit. I mean, as old as I am, and I'm not that old, but I'm not no spring chicken. Peacock. I'm not. You know what I mean? But I mean, I'm up in the air on a lot of things. But as far as running, I'm not running no more. I'm like, I have to go get still. I have to get still. You know what I mean? Because I'm tired of beating myself up all the time and being the last one in line. So I'm going to make myself first in my life. Well, God first, my God. And see where I can go from there. And I was talking today, man, I mean, my health's not that good. But I've seen people die. I've seen people die, excuse my language, like a coward. I've seen people die and just make everybody around them miserable. You know, oh, David, well, you did that, brother. You know what I mean? And I told my uncle that. He's sitting there crying, and you're still in your addiction, and you're still doing dope, and you're dying of cancer, and you're making your mother and father miserable. I'm dead, crying like a broad. Excuse no offense to women. No, I'm just saying, you know. And I had to tell him over the phone. I said, man, quit doing that shit, man. Your mom, my grandmother, my grandma and grandpa's right there. Your mom and dad, and you're whining like a, And I'm not dying like that. I'm not going to die like that. I'm not going to die in an alley addicted. I'm not going to die in an alley as a junkie. I'm not doing it. When I die, I want to die with some integrity, man. I want to die, like he said, with people that give a damn around, that give a damn about me around me. I want to die sober and clean, and I'm going to. Whenever the good Lord's willing. But I know he's got a sense of humor. He's going to keep me around as long as he can. I hope. But and Roxy, thank you again. That woman puts up with all the staff at Fred Brown. If you get on the outside looking in, oh God, could you imagine working here? Yeah, seriously, man. They put up with all kinds of garbage, but that's love. It is, man. And I've been to a lot of programs, and I've never ever seen one like this, ever, in my life. Ever. Them other programs, you do this, get out. And the letters, and that reading, man, and for the new cats, man, that shit, it's going to come out of nowhere. I witness it all the time. I got a brother right over here, he did it the other day, and I said, see, I told you. You know what I mean? It's that shit we stuff down all of our lives. That old ugly shit we stuff in us. That we got, and I got mine out this time. Something's been keeping me down for years, since I was 14 years old. I never forgave my father for killing my twin brother. My twin brother died in my arms. When I was 14 years old, I watched him take his last, I held him while he took his last breath. But I came to realization, boom, some other man in here gave, and I can't say what, but he forgave somebody that did something so detrimental to him that it's unforgivable to me. But when he said that and he spoke on it and he shared about it, I go, fuck. There it is right there. So I forgave my father, and I'm going to keep pushing, because that day that he died was the greatest day of my life. I was happy about it. I was happy he was gone. But I never did look at it like I look at other addicts. I didn't realize he was in his addiction, his full-blown addiction, man. Alcoholism and addiction, when he did that. But now I know, and I've forgiven him. So I'm going to keep on pushing from that, man. It was good to see you, brother. And I think that's about it, y'all. And thank you for having me again.
All right, guys, that's all the time we have for sharing. It's time to wrap up the meeting. Thank you all for coming, supporting our recovery. I have asked Ben to read Just for Today.
I forgot about that. Hi, family. I'm an addict. My name's Ben. Just for today, my thoughts will be on my recovery, living and enjoying life without the use of drugs. Just for today, I'll have faith in someone who believes in me and wants to help me in my recovery. Just for today, I will have a program. I'll try to follow it to the best of my ability. Just for today, through NA, I'll try to get a better perspective on my life. Just for today, I will be unafraid. My thoughts will be on my new associations. People are not using and found a new life. So long as I follow that way, I have nothing to fear.
After a moment of silence for the addict who still suffers, will Clyde lead us out in a prayer of his choice?
All right, let's link up.
Oh boy.
I love you all. It's time for you to go.
Yes, sir.
I love you all. It's time to go.
Me some spaghetti.
Yes.
All right, see you later. You need some supplies. For the kids.
Cool. No problem. of them here.